What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today when I talk to you about SoFi, I want to go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in the stock price, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So starting off this upcoming week is going to be a fun week. So starting off on Monday, you have yours truly, SoFi's earnings. So that's going to be the biggest mover for that. Tuesday, you have durable goods. Wednesday, you have a couple things. So the Fed interest rate decision forecast is no change. So I think that's fairly accurate. But what is stated afterwards, that is what is going to move the market. And so potentially, I think some people are somewhat worried about Powell coming out and stating that they might need to or even consider raising rates. That would definitely spook the broader market. Recently at the World Economic Forum, they stated the exact same thing. That ultimately needs to happen in order for them to combat inflation fully. So yeah, definitely watch for that. GDP on Thursday, and then aside from that, PCE on Friday. And then you also have a lot of big companies unveiling their earnings. So yours truly Monday morning, Tesla, Meta, Microsoft, Wednesday after hours, UPS, Apple, Intel, a lot of big names this week. So again, that will equate to a hell of a lot of volatility. But starting off with SoFi. So their earnings, this is what the current estimates are. So 4 cents for the earnings per share, 682.2 million for the revenue. That recently did go down. Of course, a lot of that could have stemmed from recent analyst ratings. I have no idea why so many analysts have given SoFi ratings right before the earnings. It just doesn't make sense. But as obviously with those ratings, some might have lowered their estimates. So it did recently go from 689 to now 682 million. So that's kind of a good thing, lowering the bar. So hopefully SoFi can easily jump above that and kind of whatever else. So yeah, it's weird the fact that the consensus is lower this earnings than what happened last earnings. So last consensus was from Q3, 689. So just doesn't add up if you ask me. They're kind of forecasting more of a negative quarter over quarter for revenue. But aside from that, for the earnings per share, 8 positive, 3 negatives for the revisions for the earnings per share. So again, a lot of that could have stemmed from the recent analyst ratings, just doesn't make sense. But this is kind of my explanation I'm going to go over and how I see their earnings playing out. So currently, there is a 11% implied movement. So pretty much $2 in either direction is where it can go. And historically speaking, looking at the previous earnings, pretty much all the way up to 2022, they've had home run earnings, absolutely amazing growth. And sometimes Wall Street has they like to tear it apart, specifics, and really focus on the negatives. But beside the point, the key metrics, member growth, deposits, all going up. So that's definitely something to take note of. But one thing, a company that I like to bring up in comparison is Palantir. So Palantir had absolutely phenomenal growth and still essentially does. But if you are Wall Street, you've always been very bad at kind of judging innovative companies. So what potentially happens with Palantir is every earnings, analysts then start to look at this and not really future growth or revenue and those other good attributing factors. You look at the forward PE and then you say it's overvalued. That does happen quite a lot with SoFi. That's why 50% of the time, roughly, post earnings, it always goes down. And even leading into earnings, pretty much a good about 70% of the time or 75% of the time, it does actually move higher. So it has a nice run leading to the earnings. And then post, it usually sells off. It is because analysts are looking at this. So right now, the forward PE for SoFi is $134 or 134.72. So how I see their earnings playing out, they have already stated that they hit that very good milestone of actual members. So I think their members will go up. All the other key metrics are going to be absolutely on point. So probably you'll see a very nice spike. What does happen? Probably to around that $19.50 to $20 range, which the options is somewhat anticipating as well. But I think post earnings, that spike might kind of slowly go down and you might actually get back to kind of this general level. So That's just how I see things. Hopefully I'm wrong and it just goes to 25 or potentially higher. But like I said, Wall Street does always have a very difficult time with innovative companies such as SoFi. So you might have that quick spike as people look at the growth of their key members and whatever else, but then people start to focus on this right here. So that's just my viewpoint. Again, hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully my crystal ball is wrong for that. But going into this upcoming week though, 11.9% of the free float is being shorted. So if there is any negatives that does come from SoFi's earnings, anticipate shorts to really pounce all over. Same goes for a lot of the data points. If negative, then yeah, they definitely will be pouncing. They have returned quite a lot over the last little bit. So generally the peak was around September when it was at 20% short interest, and then obviously downwards from there, which is kind of a good thing. Shows that they do feel that SoFi was ready to kind of move higher, but at the same time, I think they have been really freeing up some available space just to pounce. So kind of just be aware of that and stay tuned. But looking here at the actual options, so call options it's kind of pointing for it to be roughly around that $22 as far as the high for this upcoming week, even as high as maybe $23 potentially. So that's what the bulls are feeling for this upcoming week. The bears are anticipating for it to be sub roughly $14. So keep in mind that has SoFi's earnings and a lot of crazy data coming out this week that in among itself could really move SoFi probably 10-15% in general based on all of these. So yeah, that's what the options is kind of signaling. So anywhere from $14 to $22, that seems to be the parameters for this week. Like I said, I think you'll have a spike and then sell off just because of the earnings, but anything is possible. When it comes down to it, right now with that 1792, it is trading between this R2 and this R1. I'm looking at the 1 week chart on the side note. So it's very, very strong support and resistance levels. So 1695 is going to be the next strong support. And then 1959, 2386 is going to be the following kind of resistance points. So this is why I'm saying I feel like it might bounce to this R2 range, bounce off of that and kind of trend lower. That's just, again, my viewpoint. I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope it just kind of moves higher from there. But aside from that, the only thing to really bring up on SoFi's charts that's negative is the fact that it is rather overbought. So any potential negative associated to SoFi or the broader market, you could see some pretty crazy volatility. And like I said, there's a lot of data points to really possibly spook the market and possibly be negative. So let me know your viewpoint on SoFi. Do you think it is going to continue its trend higher? What's your price predictions for SoFi? Just their earnings, not counting the rest of the data for the rest of the week. Where do you feel SoFi is going to go? And what is are you going to have a profit taking stage? Are you going to be taking profits at 23, 25? Or are you going to be buying more? What is your general thoughts? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. Then one final thing, I did launch a free Discord. So a lot of good people there. You can kind of go talk shop, go over options, stocks, whatever floats your boat. So definitely worthwhile to go over there. And plus, like I said, it's free. So free is the best dollar value out there. And one final thing, hopefully you all are having a good weekend. And with all that, appreciate all of you watching.